Evening, everyone. Welcome to, I don't know what number we're up to now, but it's another Late and Live. And, well, I would say we've got the usual suspects, but one of the usual suspects has gone AWOL. I don't know where he is. I think he must have maybe had a little granddad nap and someone's not giving him a prod. Nick is not here yet. He's a little bit late, but we do have Derek. How you doing, Derek?
Oh, yeah, not too bad. Thanks.
And the guest for this evening is Lee. Fixit4Reselling by Fix Sell. How you doing, Lee? You all right?
Not too bad, thank you.
You've been doing much. You've been doing much soldering today, or
no soldering today.
It's a bit hot for it, isn't it? I'll keep thinking I should do some fixing, but
just changing belts on tape decks the other day, but that's about it.
Just the usual stuff.
Not always fixing.
Not always fixing. I'm kind of like I'd like to fix. I never do enough of it. So as usual, it's like ask any questions you want in the chat. But what we're going to talk about today is sort of like fixing and that can mean any type of fixing. So if it's clothes, it could mean like sewing something to get it on eBay and be able to sell it. It could be just I don't know, just cleaning a battery compartment or just doing a little fix on something. Tell us your stories about what you fixed and what you've managed to sell. Be it clothes or toys or electronics or anything like that. But I think all three of us are people who like to fix. Is cleaning fixing? Neil said it straight away. I think it is fixing.
If it doesn't work, and then it works after cleaning.
Yeah, that's like when you do that for the first time, it's magic. Even if it is cleaning, knowing how to clean a battery compartment. But yeah, definitely tell us your stories in the chat. But we normally start off with like what's happened this week, be it a good pickup or a bit of a disaster on eBay or anything like that. I'm going to start actually because I'm going to show off here. I've got right next to me. I hope it doesn't fall over. I've got a big pile. Look at that of it's boxed Atari games, which I managed to get this week, and unfortunately, I'm not going to sell it. So it's not like I'm even going to make any money out of it. It's just going to sit on my shelf, and it probably won't even be played. But I managed to pick
them when I was a child.
No, I mean it's
2600 games.
Yeah, 2600. They're all in a box. There's some Intellivision, which at the bottom here. There's some Intellivision games. I'm not too sure what they are, but some things I'm just so. I mean, I think I probably only had about like 5 or 6 Atari games when I had my Atari. And you always dreamed of getting loads. So, it's me now sort of being an old man. He's living the dream, getting his Atari 2600 game collection up. But to get them boxed is absolutely nuts. Yeah. So, there we go. That's my one. Oh, also, I did pick up this as well, which is another bit of a special one. It's a Sinclair ZX80. So, yeah, very pleased to get those too. You got anything good this week, Derek? Anything to know?
Yeah, I picked up another Sharp upright turntable that Neil's...
you're demonstrating.
Yeah, they did the thing, and I also picked up that. Oh, there.
That's a smart-looking thing, isn't it?
And this has a turntable that comes out.
What?
Quite unique.
Does it only take singles? Or can it take? I suppose it can take everything if it pops out like
that. Yeah. It's got enough space because it sort of sits. I assume you can't put it back in. Once you've started playing it.
Yeah, I used to have one. I think it was a Sharp, and it played the A side, and then the needle or the little stylus, plastic stylus, went underneath and played the B side.
Yeah.
And I remember I bought that when I had a Saturday job in Boots, and they sold it in like the sound and vision department in Boots. And I think it cost, I don't know, 180 or 200 quid or something. That's the first thing I bought on my staff discount. I was like, yeah.
Is that the one that you repaired with? Or was that a different thing?
It could be. I don't know. But it was great because you could set it to go A to B, or you could repeat side A. Fantastic machine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what
it's
that
the
one
same
does.
as
It's got a needle on either side. It's got a needle on the front and a needle on the back.
Oh, it's got
Doesn't
a-
Oh no, this was the same
doesn't
needle.
actually- yeah, it doesn't actually spin round. But that you can repeat A and B. I mean, that's the whole idea of it. So you can just repeat it.
There was a
without
kind of
changing.
space for it. It was on a like went round in a sort of groove thing, and there
Yeah.
was a space for it to go round and underneath. It's a crazy thing that it plays it from underneath.
Yeah.
But have you got any good pickups, Lee, this week? I know you were fixing one on your
Well, yeah.
latest
Only
video.
pretty much that stuff behind me. I mean, I only paid as soon as I got out of the car. The guy in the corner was selling this, so it was literally 30 seconds, and he said he was selling it for 40 quid, and then he was like,
Jumped
"Oh,
on it.
and it includes the speakers as well." So, and it's absolutely immaculate. I mean, the video I did today, like inside it, I mean, it was made in 1980. And
Yeah,
it's even got the receipts with it.
I saw
The
that.
guy
Yeah,
purchased it on the 24th, Christmas Eve,
yeah.
in 1980, and
Was he
paid
put 300 quid down and had to pay like an
300 quid down, got the rest on finance. So yeah, it was like 600 quid altogether, but the total price was like 500.
It's great seeing that, isn't it? Like original
Yes.
receipts in anything, even in
Yeah.
like a I don't know, like a SNES game or something. When you see it, it's like, oh yeah, that
Yeah,
adds.
it's not even screwed up. It's like nicely folded and laid out. So it's like it was the day it was written out.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, I didn't even knock him down on price for that. When he said it came with the speakers as well, because I mean that whole lot there is just, that's 400 or 500 quid for £40. Obviously, a couple of things need fixing.
Couple of things, just a couple of things. Well, I've seen your video, and you made some. You've done the tape part, haven't you? And
Yeah,
have you looked at the record player yet?
I haven't looked at the record player yet.
Yeah, still that to do.
Just
Part
put it in
two.
here. I've put it in here for show at the minute.
So when you buy I assume you have like a stock of things that you've got, like belts and things like that. Do you get them? You don't, or do you
No.
order?
The only belts I've got are like the normal tape belts that you get from China, a bag of like 50 of them.
Yeah,
And I've pretty much gone through all of the sizes in there. I've probably got 20 left, but they're all the silly tiny ones.
yeah,
That's the only thing I buy in belts.
right.
I mean, because these ones I found, like I was saying earlier, I found someone in the UK now that supplies belts. They're only sort of £5 each, £5 or £6 like delivered. So I mean, to get something like that and just put a £5 belt on it, which doesn't take too long, but with that one, the old belts have gone deteriorated and gone back to goo. So it's just like a tar. And when they go like that, trying to clean it off it's murder. It gets everywhere on my hands.
All over your fingers, doesn't it?
I washed my hands about 3 times while I was doing it. I should have put some gloves on.
Need some like, I don't know, was it Swarfiga or something?
Yeah, well, no, alcohol gets it off.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Or just wash it up. It comes off your hands easy. But anything, it's like tar. Anything you touch after that, it sticks. Goes everywhere.
Right, we've got 87 watching. I better say hello. Look at me. We're getting into chat already. We haven't even said hello, everyone. And I have got a question as well that was left on one of my comments, which Margaret asked. I saw she's in the chat, so we'll deal with that. It's not to do with fixing, but Ali's in. We'll just pop down very quickly. Antoinette, me, I'm here. Faye and Simon, who were our guests last week. There's Margaret. Let's switch down. There's Pat. Hello, Pat. How are you doing? Tony Steve. Sorry, I'm whizzing down. Tom W. Once Love Treasures. Chris Tyler. Welsh Wonder Nia. Geordie Resellers in. Oh, Pete's in. Have I missed anyone? I've probably missed loads of people. The Dave. Neil. Rich Lepic. Nick's late. He's late signing things. Yeah. Was he doing autographs? He'll either really forget or he'll turn up all flustered. So it'll be quite amusing either way. James is in. So James, good to see you. Cinema Music. And I will just answer Margaret's question, which was she was asking about the new video thing on eBay, where you can do a little video. And saying, has anyone had any problems with it? Because it's caused us some real nightmares. It's too much jargon. So I did update to the new listing thing about a month or two ago, I think, because it gave you the option to do videos. And I thought that's ideal if you're selling electronics or like selling a gaming console. You can actually show it working and just sort of. But what I do is I keep it very brief. I try and do it in one shot, and I will make sure it's under a minute. So normally about 50 seconds. Anything over that, it won't allow you to update. But I found it okay if I sort of stick to that. Have you used it, Derek?
Yeah, I've used it quite a few times mainly on CRT TVs because I play Sonic the Hedgehog on my TVs, and that's what I usually use as my photograph, the main photo. But I also record a bit of the footage as well.
Yeah.
So I upload that. It's about 50 seconds, things like that. What I have noticed, because I don't like using the new tool, I like the old classic listing.
I know you get used to the way you're doing it, don't you?
Yeah. So what I do, I go switch to the tool, upload the video, and then switch back to the old tool. The video still stays there.
That sounds like a real faff, but it's quite easy. Just
it stays there. The only problem arises if then you come to sell similar off that item, a different TV, for example, and you forget to upload the video. You won't see the video, but the video will still be there. You could end up with a video of the original item there, even though you think you deleted all your photos.
So you do your sell similar in? Oh well, I do sell similar, but you're saying the video is still there
on the original selling tool. So you don't see the video then, but the video is still there.
Yeah.
So if you switch to the new selling tool, then you see the video. But then if you try to delete the old video, sometimes it ends up uploading two videos to the listing, keeps the original one, even though you click delete.
Yeah,
she's saying a new video.
She's saying hers isn't playing. I mean, normally when I do mine and upload it, it takes. I mean, I suppose I've got quite a good PC, but it takes about 40 seconds to upload. You see it uploading, and then you can play it.
Mine always goes up and sits in review, and I never look at it again.
Yeah. It takes a while to get reviewed. Some don't get reviewed either on mine. Mine just sort of sit there and reviewed.
I had one removed. I think it was because it was a tape player, and I must have played 6 seconds of, some copyrighted music. But yeah, I haven't had much of a problem, or I don't think I have. And even if I don't think it makes a huge difference to sales. To be honest, it's kind of like
No, it's good to show something working though.
Yeah. I mean, if someone asks a question and you can say, "Oh, well, there's a video on it," if then they say, "Oh, I can't see it," then I'd look into it. But apart from that, it's been okay.
It's just an extra faff, isn't it, that you've got to do it?
Yeah,
exactly. On each listing.
So back to fixing. I mean, Lee, what really sort of got you started on? How long ago did you start fixing things? And
probably when we started. I started doing this job. And you go to the car booths and everything you pick up is broken. Everybody.
So how long have you been reselling?
Only, I think we're coming up to 3 years now. We started with me and the missus. We started in 2019, which was like 6 months before COVID started. Right. So it's been a bit of a struggle to start and keep going. But so we was buying stuff and it was broken. And I've always been into like taking things apart as a child.
Yeah,
and like looking into things, but it's not really until 3 years ago when we started buying stuff to sort of sell on eBay, especially like the electronics, that I started looking into it. And I've always watched a guy called My Mate Vince. I've watched him for ages. I've always watched everyone that fixes stuff knows My Mate Vince.
My Mate Vince. I was going to ask you about who you watch. I watch a guy called Gadget UK as well. And there's another guy called the Coder who does a lot of consoles.
I'll watch the Coder.
He's a great one to watch because he's so tells it like it is. But My Mate Vince, I love his videos, but some of the early ones are very, very long, aren't they? But he's doing a Rolls Royce at the moment.
He can drive you nuts as well.
He can drive you crazy, but brilliant, but drive you crazy.
But yes, that's really what got me. I mean, I never really fixed anything before that. It was just getting broken stuff at the car boot, and then you can see the price of it. I mean, like stuff that I was fixing, just putting a tape out now. I could sell that tape deck, spares and repairs, for probably 50 quid.
Yeah.
So I'm already in profit on the whole bundle that I bought. But
so
why?
do you mainly like, will you purely focus on getting like electronic stuff and stuff to fix, or like if you saw a
No.
deluxe Scrabble or a
Oh
rare
no,
plush, do you
electronic.
get that?
I get it if it's there. That's why my uploads are sort of few and far between. Sometimes I'll have a week where I'll have a few things that I'll quickly go through and fix and do videos on it, and then you won't see me for 4 months. Because
But I was saying your eBay store, it's not just electronics.
It's everything.
It's
No,
generous.
I mean, the wife does it with me as well.
Okay.
She used to sell lots of books. I mean, we've got loads of books on the store. But yeah, I mean, we do everything. Picked up a pair of hot shoes yesterday, Peter.
Oh,
I've seen you pick up the hot shoes. Picked up the hot
20
shoes.
quid. There you
They
go.
sold today. I've only been up for a day.
Did you do the crack test on the sole?
Yeah, I did them in the shop.
Yeah, I love
it. So it's not all electronics. I mean, I only pick up the electronics if it's there and it's a good price. I won't. I don't pay silly money for this stuff. Even on eBay, when you see the stuff that are spares and repairs, where people want sort of 50, 60 quid for it.
Yeah.
I won't buy stuff like that off eBay. Because a lot of times, they've already been looked at.
Oh, you have to be so careful.
On eBay, They've been looked at, they've been taken apart, they've been checked, and they've put them back on as spares and repairs. So you've got no comeback. They say, well, it's sold as spares and repairs. It's like, well, you didn't tell us you've looked into it and ruined the insides of the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, electrical stuff, in terms of what I pay for it, it's I do think, what would I get for it? A broken price, and normally halve that, and that would be my starting point. And then you kind of think, well, if it's working, okay, I might be lucky and get like 10 times, stuff like that. But you do have to factor in that it can go wrong, and you got to learn to say no to some things, because if you've been around the boot fair and you haven't got anything, and then there's something there, you think, I wouldn't mind that, but if I buy that for like 20 quid and it's broken and it's only worth a tenner broken, I mean, it's just a complete waste of time and effort and money.
Yeah,
you've got to buy it.
You've got to be careful.
With parts in mind, you have to buy it.
Yeah,
with
definitely.
That price in mind, because otherwise you're going to end up losing money overall.
If ever I see anything at the car boot, I'm always buying it as broken. I think it's broken. Yeah. And it's a surprise when you get it home and it works.
So when you first started sort of like fixing, I mean, what was your level? Was it sort of cleaning battery compartments? And I remember seeing Z's video with electric paint on the remote control, and I was like, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I think you did one as well, didn't you, on electric paint and a remote controls? It's like, that's the most amazing thing. Someone can fix a remote control. That's genius.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of my most popular videos. That's the first video I ever did, was fixing the remote control.
I've seen that. I was thinking, I must do one.
Yeah, that was so good. The first one, it's had like 70,000 views.
Yes,
so I did another one a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, part 2.
And it just shot up. You see the analytics, and it's like teetering along, and all of a sudden it's like boom, like 2,000 views in a day.
Yeah,
I tried to fix a remote control. It's quite a nice Sony one, and I got the paint and put it on there. Didn't fix it. I think I ended up selling it as spares or repairs or something at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I had a Sony remote because I bought a Blu-ray that didn't have the remote control of it, and I had this Sony laying around, and it was all acid and everything inside it. Took it apart, and it was corrosion everywhere, all on the board. So I started fixing traces and stuff, but I just couldn't get it working. I mean, it was a waste of time. I didn't end up even making a video on it. Yeah. So I mean, not everything can be fixed.
Yeah, I think I can't remember it being particularly bad inside. But it just wouldn't work. I just couldn't get it going. So I tried it about 3 or 4 times, then gave up. Yeah,
I mean, this one I looked at, it's like everything was connected inside. You could, use the multimeter and trace everything around. Everything seemed connected, and it just wouldn't work. It's probably the chip gone. It's probably the chip that's got shorted out, and it will never work again unless you can find a new chip, and then that's not worth it at all. Might as well buy a new remote.
I mean, I think it is important to sort of know the limits of what you can do, and I mean, I suppose my limits would be maybe up to sort of changing capacitors and doing bits of soldering, but beyond that, I would get slight. You don't want to
that's where I started. The basic stuff like that, seeing a bulging cap and change it. But then I've watched thousands of like hours of like video. I enjoy watching people fixing stuff.
Yeah, especially
like the electronics. I mean, there's a guy 12-volt vids. When I was buying all the VHSs and the DVD recorders, and they were knackered. There's a guy in Canada called 12-volt vids, and that's all he fixes. And he used to be an engineer, and I've learned so much just from watching his videos that now I can rip a VCR apart, dive in there, change a few things, and it's up and working.
Do you have a toolkit that you use that you've built up that's because I think that's the frustration when you first start something like this. I wish I had a solder remover, like electronic solder remover, or wish I had the right screwdrivers.
I started with like the Amazon basics like soldering iron, but now I've got like the soldering iron and hot air station 2-in-1, which is probably about 70 or 80 quid. I think it's a cheap Chinese one. And then your toolkits, I've just got like a set of like normal screwdrivers that you use around the house. And I've got like another sort of little set, a cheapy one that you can change. It has all the different sizes on, all the different shapes and sizes of screwdrivers, and that was 20 quid. So it's not, you don't need like loads of stuff to get going.
No, that's true. It is a good question. So I mean, he's saying. Rich Lepic, do you find it sometimes just a fuses? Have you ever gone to fix something and tried? Well, I suppose it was a bit like that video I was talking about, that Samsung video, where you tried to do all the complicated stuff, taking it all to bits, and then found out that it's just like something really, really simple. Now I know that's happened to you. So explain what happened with that one.
Well, like you say, you think. That's the thing as well. It's when you first started, you think you know what the trouble with it is, and you start taking all the screws out, taking the top out. It must be a capacitor or something in there.
Must be that. Get the soldering iron out.
I've not checked the fuse and the plug. It's like, that's blown.
Well, I've done that before, and it's it's just there aren't any batteries, but there's something wrong with the battery compartment. I've taken the whole thing apart, and it was either like. I think I did one, and the battery was flat, and it was just
always
stupid enough to check
your batteries have got voltages in them.
It's ridiculous. So that's...
I mean, I have batteries laying around that I know are charged, and that I test stuff with. Yeah. So sometimes they can be left there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And because you've been using them over and over again, you'll go back to use them and think, right, I know these ones work. I'll put them in.
I had one today. I've got this, okay, and I tried to put a battery in it. It wasn't working. Tried a few different ones, wasn't working. And then I put like the mains in and it worked. And then I thought, well, let's have a look at the instructions. So I looked up the instructions online, and it only takes rechargeable batteries. So you stick in a normal AA battery, even though it's like the same size, it won't. And we got some rechargeables downstairs, put one in, it works fine. So I just have to remember when I sell it, to sort of make a point of saying, it's only rechargeable because
I don't even know how it would detect that. How would it detect?
Well, I don't know, but it does say in the instructions only rechargeable batteries. So
maybe because rechargeable batteries, the voltages are a little bit lower than normal batteries. Could be that.
Don't ask me how it does it, but it does. It's magic.
See, I don't know how it does it.
How's it? Be careful with batteries because I've got like a bunch of batteries, and they've all come out items that I bought from the boot sale, and if they're any good, I'll keep them.
Yeah, I do that.
Sometimes, I know which ones are good. I've got a little pot of good batteries, but sometimes you can put them in a different item and it won't work, even though it might work. Say you've got a Walkman, it might work fine in the Walkman. Put them in a different radio, and they don't work. They're not.
They all depend on how much power is being drawn.
Yeah, so you've got to be careful. Just because you think these are good batteries,
like something like a remote control. You can put flat batteries in there, and your remote will work. But you try putting them batteries in a stereo that needs a lot more power.
It's
not going to do anything.
Yeah. So that's one thing I'm always careful of now is like having, if I'm testing something, make sure I use the really good batteries sort of thing.
Definitely. I mean, you should have a set that you bought new, I guess, just to give it that real check. But I mean, I'm the same. I've got there's a drawer down here. They're all the different batteries are in like ice cream tubs. all the different kinds, and it just ends up filling up the drawer. I'm never going to get through them all. There you go. Derek, do you do much fixing then, or do you? Is it something you like to do and just sort of hold back a bit from? Or?
It depends on how interested I am in the item, really. So if I've got like an old vintage hi-fi, I'll probably be more inclined to take that apart, do the belts, and it'll probably be worth it from a reselling point of view as well, and probably easier to do because what I've found, I don't know if you're the same, is the newer the item, the more complicated the belt is to change, because everything's so crammed in, and it's got like circuit boards over they're not designed to be.
When you see some of the later Walkmans, they really are quite. You just start taking it a bit, and even some of like the little systems, you have to take so many screws out to get where you want to get to.
Yeah. Well, they're not designed to be serviced, are they? I don't think. Whereas in the 70s, you used to get like little service manuals with the item, didn't you?
Yeah.
Belt diagram and things like that. Those you can basically whip the back off, and you basically just hook a new belt on, and it's really easy.
Yeah, see, some of them you can't even get like service manuals anymore. I mean, here's a good one. I picked up. We wanted an induction hob, so I looked. I mean, this is another good thing as well. I mean, induction hob is like a lot of money. It's like 600 quid. So I looked on Facebook for one, and there was a guy saying one half of it didn't work, and he was getting rid of it for 30 quid. So I sent him a message. I said, "Will you take 20 for it?" He said, "Look," he said, "I've had enough with people on Facebook. Just come and take it away. You can have it for nothing." So I was like, "Well, no, I'll give you 20 quid because I know I can probably fix it." Because this is another thing. I mean, if you look online, a lot of things have exactly the same problems. If you look up online, so they'll always have one part that fails. So you can usually find out what it is. But I went and picked that up, and I repaired that, and I went to give him 20 quid, but he wouldn't take anything for it, so I got it for nothing, and I just put a capacitor in there, and I got a free induction hob for a £3 part, which I didn't even have to replace. It wasn't actually soldered in from factory, but there's a service manual for that. They were talking about service manuals. I looked up the service manual, and all it says in there is to replace the whole power board. Not check this component, not check that component. It's like change the whole board. Yeah. So that's another thing. Like all the modern stuff is saying now, they're not giving you, the diagrams and schematics and all the part numbers because you can't replace. They're all saying you can't replace the parts, and it's dangerous to replace the parts as well. You're putting your hands in around 200.
Oh yeah, definitely. You got to know your limits of what you're doing.
There is that reason, but I mean, for the service manual to now say replace the whole thing, and it's. That's 200 quid. You might as well go and buy a new one.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is why they make stuff so cheap now.
Yeah,
they do it.
Well, it's a throwaway culture, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
throwaway. Get a new one.
I think one of the real kind of attraction to doing this sort of thing is not just the sort of like feeling you'd get from actually fixing it, but you do prevent it from going into landfill, and especially something like a video recorder. If you can get that up and running, and someone's going to get use out of it, I mean that is a fantastic.
When I went to the recycling centre to throw a couple of empty shells away in the tip, some guy was about to throw a PS3 backwards compatible and a PS3 Super Slim into the tip, and I said, "Oh, do you mind if I have them?" Because they hadn't reached the tip yet. I sort of just got them, and them in the car.
And if they go in the tip, you've had it really, because you can't fish them out.
And the PS3 backwards compatible, it was only the disk drive needed changing, and I had a spare one.
Yeah,
put that in, sold that for 150 quid, and there was nothing wrong with the PS3 Super Slim, and I sold that for 60 quid. So someone was just about to throw this in the tip, and there's like 210 quid sat there.
Nuts, isn't it? Absolutely nuts.
I'd love to go back and just look in that electronics bin down the recycling centre and see what's in there. I'd have a field day.
If I go to the tip, I just can't look in the electronics place because it just upsets.
You'd just be jumping in there.
There's like vintage speakers dumped in there. It's just terrible. But I hate waste, and a lot of this stuff isn't getting made anymore,
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the only way you can get to use those things is by using like second-hand ones. So if they're getting all chucked away, it's a shame, really.
Cinema Music is mentioning about Nick's film projector belt changing. Now that rings a bell, but I think that was quite a while ago, wasn't it? Do you remember that, Derek? Was it a year or two ago? Did he change
a while
belts?
ago, yeah.
I can't remember what happened in it, so you're going to have to remind me.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I can't remember that one.
Something funny might have happened. But...
And Jason, he bought 100 mixed size belts, which I think everyone's bought those mixed size drive belts off Amazon, and they come from China with some little Chinese writing on the plastic bag.
£2 delivered or something.
And you
if
never
see
see
me, Jason, bring them with you because I'm running out of mine. I need to buy a new bag.
You never seem to have the right one, do you? So you always want one. You always want the small ones. You got loads of the big ones, but there you go. And Chris is in. Good to see Chris.
Loads of the little ones left.
See, I would like a pack of that sort of thing, but the thicker ones. You know, on tape decks, you got the main. Don't know what you call it. It's like
flat
the
belts.
Big metal thing.
Yeah, they're the flat belts.
Well, you wanted one of those the other day, didn't you, Lee?
Hey, yeah, the one I found on there. I've put on there. Yeah,
it'd be nice if we could get like a bag of those. But
yeah, they're usually harder to find.
Yeah,
and usually a lot more money.
That's the problem, and then that's when I start to think, is it worth doing it? So if you got a tape player that is, well, say you bought it for £5 and it's worth £60, let's say, you know, if it's all working, you know, £15 on a belt kit. I don't know if it's really worth it because you can sell it for spares and repairs for about.
I tend to stay away from these belt kits. It's like in the video I did of that one today. I show you how to like measure the size you need.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can go and choose your own belt, and you'll find that's cheaper than buying, you know, an actual belt.
Some of them are so expensive. It's crazy.
I do that with turntables. I measure those, and then get basically the cheapest I can find. I did that the other day. But yeah, for tapes, I don't generally do it for tapes. Probably should do.
Well, you never guess who's just turned up. It's only Nick Hills.
What time is this?
Have you been asleep, young man?
I've had one of those days where I just didn't know what day it was, and then I lost track of time. I have no excuse whatsoever.
Somebody suggested you might be busy signing items.
Oh, don't. No. Jeez. I can only apologise, gentlemen. Sorry.
That's all right. We'll let you off. Only this one. So, have you ever had something you've tried to fix and like it's almost been at the point where it's working, and then you completely muck up something, you know, completely muck it up and ruin it even worse than it was when you started?
A lot of the time when I'm fixing something, I can end up breaking something.
It's so frustrating, isn't it?
Whether it's just clips or something like that, but it never seems to go back.
It's like I was doing a Game Gear, and when you do the caps on the main board, they're quite easy. But when you get up to the power boards, so you know, for me, I'm doing it very, very slowly. So I might have spent an hour on it, and then I get to the more difficult bit because I kind of think I want to sort of build up some confidence, and then I lift like a soldering pad off. You know, I'm trying to desolder something, and I'm put too much heat into it, and I've lifted the solder pad, and I've just gone. It's all completely like the deck of cards has fallen down, and it's all a complete disaster.
That always happens. The solder, the pads always end up lifting up, especially when you got too much heat. But you just
I'm always saying to myself, don't put the iron too hot, like 380. Do not hold it on for more than 3 seconds. If it hasn't melted, there's something wrong. Come away. But you know,
soldering is one of those things that I've only dabbled in, and if you don't have much expertise, you can easily make it worse.
Oh, you can easily.
I have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the one I was doing, I was repairing the Guitar Hero. All the sync lights just continuously flashed all the time.
All right.
Which was just a capacitor, and just taking the capacitor off there, the board was so thin. It actually melted the contacts off there. It's so easy to do. You know, the board was a mess by the time I finished with it, but it happens. But as long as you know where those components were going, you can just put your component across the two places where they were going to meet anyway. Because the traces take them to the next component, so you can just link
see,
two components together.
I've seen that, and people getting like little, legs off old capacitors or little bits of wire, and just sort of
That's what
like,
you need
oh,
sometimes,
well,
yeah.
that's where it would go to. So we'll just link that to there. But that always seems like that little just step like above where I am to sort of do that. But I should do it.
Sorry, do any of you follow the channel? I think it's Steve something or other who fixes Game Boys, Nintendos. This,
Is he
that,
an
and the other.
American guy?
No, he's a British guy. He's very funny as well. Very dry sense of humour. I'll have to share the channel with you if you don't. I can't remember what it's called offhand. But he's into, soldering and switching out components and making switches and like Nintendo switches work, for example. I was watching the other day and fixing all sorts of consoles and that. He knows way, way, way more than me. I don't get involved in most of that.
Yeah, I think there's a new guy out. Is it Steve Six? Oh, I can't remember the name. It's
That
a weird name.
sounds like it. Yes.
Steve or something like that.
Yes, that's something like that. Is the channel name. And he's only been on YouTube a couple of years. He's got a huge channel.
Yeah, I think he's blown up in the last sort of month or two. He's got very popular.
Very, very much. Yeah. I'm
It's
not
funny
sure
how
we've
some of
actually
these-
met, by the way. Lovely to meet you. Have we been on a stream together?
The first time I've been on a live stream anywhere.
Oh,
I don't know how
Lovely
you've
to
got
meet you.
away with that for so long.
I know. It's great. I can go around the car booths and people don't recognise my face because usually they just see them.
Just see the hands with the soldering
See the hands pointing down there.
It's funny some of these fix-it videos or just like little repair videos can really, get a lot of people watching them. I remember you did a video, Nick, of I think it was like a Thomas train or something. It was broken and it was some plastic train track thing.
Oh, possibly, yeah.
And I remember watching it, and it just bugged me as to what was wrong with that. And I was like sending off, "Oh, have you tried this? Have you tried that?"
That was the one I couldn't fix, wasn't it? And I ended up selling it as it was.
You sold it as it was, yeah.
I did do a fix. Well, it's not an actual physical fix. It was a how to reset a DSI video, and that gets a shed load of views all the time. That did really well.
Yeah, sometimes the simple things, the simple fixes are the ones that get the most views. I mean, it's not changing capacitors, like I say, the fixing the remote control. They're going to get thousands of views.
Exactly. Yeah, another good one I did was how to set up my Zebra label printer with a Mac. And that's gone on to be a huge video. And so many people messaged me on that saying, "Oh my God, you saved my day."
It's weird though, because you would have thought, someone somewhere must have, in the whole of YouTube land must have done this. And that's what I always think. Like when I pick up something that doesn't work and I'm having trouble putting a VHS cassette into my video, I just think, oh, well, I'll type in Samsung video, accept tape. But they're not there. So, there's always room for a fixing
And that's
video.
when you make the video, Pete.
I know. But I still haven't managed to work out what it is or why I won't go in. I'm just like there with my hammer going, come on.
That's why I did that sharp. There was only one other video, which was not a very good video, of a guy taking it apart and changing the belts. And then, it's a ball like I was saying to Derek earlier, to actually get you have to take the whole thing out of its shell. And to get it out is the pain.
Well, I think that's why the one I've got at the back, I've got one right at the back there. I think that's why I never fitted the belt, because I looked up at the time. There was a video. I assume it's the one you saw. And it's really sort of vague and not very detailed. This was a few years ago, and I bought the belt kit thinking, what a go. It cost me £100 for the thing, so I really wanted to get it.
There was some incentive there.
Yeah,
I've never done it, and I've basically forgot about it. But now you've done the video, I will have to attempt it.
I can't let that go now. I'm keeping it. It might be worth £400 or £500, but I can't let it go. There's just not many about that are working.
You're going to have to call yourself Fix It for Keeping now.
Yeah.
Now I've got this other one as well. It's basically the same one. So if that one works, I haven't tested it yet. If that one works, then what I'll probably do is put the speakers with that one, so that is all working. And then I've got one that probably will just sit on the death pile for another couple of years. It
is true, though. I mean, with fixing things, a lot of it is just sort of just knowing little tricks and how things are put together and the clips and the bits, how to get something apart very quickly, or just get into the problem quickly and fixing it efficiently, because there's always that thing of, it could hang around, and building up your knowledge, and you build that up slowly. I mean, even with sort of like old consoles, having contact cleaner and just sort of like spraying it where the cartridge goes and cleaning your cartridges and then seeing if it works, and all that sort of knowledge is, I think you do get from watching other videos, but you learn so much more from doing it yourself. And slowly building up,
I've been dealing with finally sorting out and testing all of my Cine projectors today to get them gone.
Oh, someone mentioned about a Cine, an old video you did on a Cine. Well, I couldn't remember what had happened. You changed the belt on a Cine camera.
Oh, I did. Yeah, that was a right fiddle. There was just no access to the damn thing. But luckily, none of these needed belts changing. And I used to deal with these at college. I was into animation and I dealt with it.
Right.
But you forget over time that you have to have it set up for standard 8 or super 8. And you have to know which sort of film you're trying to test with. And because that'll throw it all out and you'll think it's faulty just by not knowing what film you've got. And it might be the wrong one for the setup. And there's so many little bits of knowledge that without them, you can think it's faulty or try and repair it when it doesn't need repair.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But they've been a right fiddle, to say the least.
Have you ever do you fix anything apart from electronics, Lee, or is it purely electronics?
No. Well, there's other things as well. I mean, I've got we've got a Miele dishwasher from auction. I know it's electronics, but the pump wasn't working on it, which isn't electronics. It was just like a block pump. So I'll still pull something like that apart.
Do stuff around the home as well.
Yeah. I mean, actually, when we moved to this house was like derelict.
Yeah.
Not that bad, but it hadn't been lived in for 2 years. The guy that used to own it sort of had died a few years before. There was no relations to pass it on to, so the house sort of sat empty.
Yeah.
And he was a bit of recluse and a hoarder, so there was like loads of stuff in there. But we had no central heating. Everything was all single glazed steel. It's all rotten in there. So I actually started another channel that I've got where I was fixing this place up. So I was digging trenches outside, replacing all the lead pipes, getting like new water mains put in. So I've done all the central heating in this house. Obviously, I've got the boiler installed like professionally, but I've run all the pipes.
So have you got a sort of experience of that, like from previous work, or are you just doing
no? Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
But so plastering walls, plastering ceilings.
I've done that. I've done sort of like plumbing pipes and I've tried plastering. I don't think I'd ever do it again. Plastering is difficult.
Not easy, is it?
Definitely a ceiling is very hard.
Ceiling, that kills I don't know how plasterers do ceilings all day long. That is absolutely killer.
They have massive shoulder muscles.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. I've done quite a bit of plastering in my house because my house, I basically renovated it. So I've done exactly what you did. I did all the plumbing and dug up the floors and put new joists in and all of that.
I had to do that in there. New joist, it was all rotten.
And I did the plastering. And the last time I did it, and I've been doing it for many years. It's like an ongoing project. And I did all the ceilings in one room a few years ago, and I did one about 2 years ago, and it completely killed my shoulder. It didn't go off. The pain didn't go for about 6 months. So I finally had to do a different room recently, and I got a plasterer in to do it. And it was really cheap. So I just don't think it's worth all the pain and agony.
And they do it so quick as well. They'll do a room in a day for £100. You can be there all week doing it.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's like, if you know what you're doing and good at it.
It does sometimes pay to get the professional in because, like you say, it's done in a day.
Yeah,
you're not faffing around, hurting yourself.
Right. Yeah, done, forgotten about, and you can move on.
I mean, plastering's good exercise. I mean, I lost about a stone in weight when I just plastered one room.
It's definitely good fixing things. I mean, few months ago, our washing machine went. The door wouldn't open, and we could have got a new washing machine and all that, but we could actually. I think there was a thing on YouTube. You put a knife in, you could get the door open, and then we cut the bit off an old.
I just got.
Wow. And I've just fixed it by cutting a bit of an old clip, like plastic clip that you would seal a bag with, screwing it to the inside of the washing machine door so this latch could catch onto it, and that was it. It was fixed, and you just wow, that would have cost hundreds.
On our washing machine went as well, and that was the case. The hardest part of that was getting to it and getting it off, and then it was just getting the part number off it, ordering it, and then fiddling it back in place, sort of thing. But if you're prepared to have a go, it's like when our kitchen, our oven went, but it was the Element, and that's not cheap to get someone in to do, but it was like a 12 quid part on eBay.
Yeah.
So watch a few videos, feel confident about doing it, and then it was actually relatively simple. So I do enjoy doing some of those. Electrics do scare me a little bit.
They are scary, and we were saying earlier, you do have to know your limits. You have to be ultra cautious that you're not taking any risks. And I wouldn't say to people just go and have a go. It's totally your own decision whether you're going to do that. But
there's a lot of times in my video where the top's open and there's 240 volts flowing through parts of it, and if you accidentally touch that, you just drop your hand. You stop thinking for 1 second and put your hand on it. You're probably toast.
Yeah, you definitely should be.
You do need to have your wits about you.
If you feel like you've got any sort of worries about it, don't do it. I mean, and sometimes you do need to get professionals in. I mean, we've had a couple of things where you have to get professionals in. We had a boiler fitted, and even though I've sort of worked with plumbing and stuff, I've done sort of gas work, but I'm not qualified to do that, so I wouldn't go near it. So we got the guy in to do the boiler. We had a gate fitted, and it kind of crossed my mind. This is like a big double gate thing at the side of our house, and it crossed my mind to do that, but I just knew I wouldn't be able to do it well. So, it cost a few £100, but we got the guy in, and we were so glad that we got the guy in because he made such a nice job of it. And so, when people do have the skills, it's sometimes worth paying up. But
they do it day in and day out, and they do it properly and they do it quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
But the more you have a go at something, the better you'll be at it.
That's true. I mean, this is it. I mean, to start, like I say, to start small on,
you just need to find a friend's house so you can go and bodge up that person and then do your own.
Yeah, can I plaster your kitchen?
We're going to have all of this sort of, do we get a tradesman in, do we attempt it ourselves? Because we're going to be fixing up an outhouse as an Airbnb when we move.
Yeah.
There's going to be a whole raft of, because it's pretty much an empty shell.
Well, it's things like tiling, isn't it? You kind of think, well, tiling's doable.
Tiling, I think, is one that you should have a go at, because that's relatively simple.
But then again, you do not want to muck it up, because if you muck it up and it's looks completely crap, it's there for eternity.
As long as it's nice and straight and you use those spaces, you'll be all right.
It should be nice and straight and everything level, and it should be easy. But I mean, I've seen some professionals. I've seen some professional
when you see the tiles sticking out, not zigzag sticking out.
Exactly. Cinema Music is saying if he can't see it, he doesn't mess with it.
Yeah. Somebody was asking me, did I manage to fix a PS1 from a while back? I think I must have done. I can't even remember it.
They normally just need a clean. If the door open thing doesn't work, just take it apart and clean it out. It's normally just
and I had an N64 which is quite a common fault, that's stuck reset, which is just dust particles getting down it. So you have to just take the shell apart and push it out the inside, clean it with a bit of alcohol, and then away you go. But I don't remember the PS1, so not sure. Probably
got mended. What's the best fix you've done, Lee? Like in terms of turning something into monetary value, or is that difficult? Has there been quite a few?
There's been a few. But I mean, there's been quite a few things that I don't even film. I mean, like I say, that induction hob. I mean, that was so big because it's like a 4-ring induction hob, that was so big to even sort of try and film it and just have the cameras around. That was amazing. I got it for nothing. I didn't even have to buy any new parts for it. Just had to solder a component in. And that was amazing for it. And like a laptop, I needed a new laptop. I got one from auction for like £4 because it wouldn't power on.
Yeah.
And I took that apart, and there's a tiny, tiny, tiny millimeter component, like a little capacitor in there that was gone. All little things like that, where the best ones are where something's completely dead. It's got no life in it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you've got it up and working. I mean, Zahir had a NAD amp that I went and got off him because he turned it on, all smoke pluming out of it.
I've had that.
Yeah, that's usually the diodes. But I mean, I didn't really know what I was doing with that one when I got that off him. So that taught me a lot when I was like looking at videos. But it was like the bridge rectifier was gone, which over most people's heads, a bridge rectifier.
I was going to say, where did you start with that? Because you just got something that was like sending out smoke. You take the top off, and you got a multimeter on you, and
you can't. I mean, it's from watching other videos, watching people like me, other people that are doing it. You slowly learn more and more stuff. About power supplies and what's what.
Yeah.
But I changed the bridge rectifier on there. There was like a few diodes that are shorted out. And they're only sort of 50p to £1 components, so changed a couple of them. But then something else, resistor started smoking, and I was like, why is this going? And you sort of know it's too much current, or there's a short somewhere. And it ended up it was the outputs, the actual output transistors that boost the sound and put them out the speakers. They had all shorted out, all 4 of them. So I spent 30 quid replacing all of them. Put new ones in, changed the components that were burnt out, and that was it. Like a vintage NAD amp worth sort of £150 was up and working again. But they're the best ones when there's no power or it's nearly setting fire to itself.
That what you've just described, I know, is way beyond my level of ability to do.
But like I was saying,
but also dealing with power
earlier, 2 years ago, I knew nothing.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah,
it is amazing. Looks like Mandy's like wanting to get into fixing electrical items. She's going to be the new fixer because she wants to know how do you identify the fault on an item. Now, I suppose that's a bit of an open question, isn't it? But what's the first thing you do? Because
check the fuse.
Check the obvious.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've had quite a number of things from the boot sale, selling me stuff. Tools, power tools, quite good ones for that sort of thing. Oh, it doesn't work. Oh, okay. You get it home, just switch the fuse out in the plug. Sometimes that'll do it.
Sometimes there's not a fuse in there. Somebody has previously taken it away.
I've had one sold to me where the guy's like, it doesn't work, and then the fuse is gone.
So check the obvious, and I think a lot of the time with the electrical stuff, one of the first things you kind of do is give it a visual check as well, and a lot of, I don't know if you all agree with this, Lee, but a lot of the fixes are capacitors because they do leak, like old batteries in your system sort of thing. So a lot of the fixes, if you know how to change a capacitor, that will cover a lot of fixes, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times the capacitor will show you the top will be blown, or it'll have stuff leaking out the top of it.
Yeah,
but you can get capacitors that don't do that at all. They could look totally normal, but that's the first thing, is to visually look at it.
Don't they give off an odd smell as well if they've gone?
Yeah, a bit fishy.
That's the one. Yeah, I've heard that Fixit, the other channel I was talking about, saying about the fishy smell.
Yeah, the capacitors you can usually tell by the smell of it. It's like diodes in a bridge rectifier. They'll stink the house out. They're like a totally different smell. So you can tell by what a machine smells like to what's burning out. So another thing, you can look at the board. If you see dark patches on the board, something's getting too hot. So there are little things you can spot that will point you in the right direction sometimes.
Before the chat, you showed a spares box you had with boards, stuff like that. Can you literally unsolder the capacitors from one of those and put those on another board?
Yeah.
So that's
why I keep them.
Right, so that's basically why you keep those boards. So it's not like use the whole board again. It's just
I mean, you can't use stuff like chips and stuff that are on there because they're sort of special to the boards. But I mean, this hasn't really got like big capacitor. This is like all like what they call surface mount sort of capacitors. But you can take them off there. If you know the values of them, you can take them off there. I mean, they're the bigger ones.
They're ordering boards now.
they're like the power supplies. So, you know, something like a big cap like that would probably be hard to find now. And your ceramic capacitors, you know, they'd be more expensive and harder to find. But a lot of them, they won't go at all. They'll be fine to sort of reuse. So you can always keep them, because a lot of the capacitors in power supplies are the same values, and it's usually power supplies that burn out.
And is there like if you got a capacitor that has a certain value, or I don't know anything about capacitors, but they have like a number on them or something like that, like a range.
Yeah. They have the microfarads, which is the UF, and then they'll have the voltage.
So can you use, do they have to be perfectly the same, or is there like...
They can be high, can't they, I think?
The voltage can be high. You've got to try and keep the microfarads the same, because a lot of them filter out sort of because of your voltages aren't like level. They're like jittering around a bit, so the capacitor like smooths them out, so it's a nice flat voltage it's getting. So your microfarads you try and keep the same, but the voltage you can keep the same or go up. Sometimes it's better to go up, because it puts the capacitor under less stress.
Yeah.
If you put a capacitor in there that's a lower voltage, it's going to explode.
Right. Okay.
How many explosions have you had? That's what I want.
None.
None.
I've had no explosions.
No smoke or anything like that?
Only that
now.
that I had.
I've got an item on my death pile that the capacitor blew on, and it basically blew up. But the item still now works. It started to smoke, it blew up, and now it seems to work fine. But I put it on the death pile because I don't know what to do with it now.
That's a bit weird.
Yeah, so, no, you can take capacitors out of some things and they will still work.
Yeah, because I was watching...
it depends on what job the capacitor is doing. Like I say, some of them will just make the DC voltage a flatter line and nice and smooth.
It's just a smoother voltage, isn't it? It's a more consistent voltage. Yeah. Right.
Because the capacitor stores up the energy and releases it smoothly.
Yeah. The 8-bit guy was restoring some sort of old Apple computer, and the capacitor blew on it. And I think he just cut it off and then left it off.
Yeah. Because a lot of times when they blow, because they're made up of different layers, you have like your positive and negatives. I don't know the exact names of what they call the layers, but when they blow, those layers short together, which can create a short circuit in the whole thing. Right. So you basically taking it off, gets rid of the short circuit, and it will come back on again. And a lot of things will run. There's so many capacitors in machines these days. Taking one out, it will still work.
Yeah. Maybe if I eventually get to this thing, then I might sell it.
The thing is, I mean, if it's in a power supply, if something tries to draw a lot of current, it will probably shut the machine down, because it can't supply it with a big capacitor missing. It can't supply enough current to the machine to keep it on.
I think this was just a little portable radio, I think.
Yeah, something like that. You could probably take a capacitor out.
Right.
A lot of times they'll go short circuit, so they're basically connecting your plus and minus together and basically shorting up and out, so it will not work. But yeah, you can take the smaller ones out, and sometimes they'll be just fine. Always better to replace them.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't think I would like just leave it out. It seems a bit risky me to do that. Lee, how many things do you think? Yeah, I know this is a really difficult question, but how many things do you think you fix a week on average? Is it like one a week or one every 2 weeks?
It all depends on what I've picked up. Like I say, I don't always pick up electronics. I'm just like a normal eBay reseller. Like
what's a normal eBay
reseller? But yeah, I'll go out. I'll pick up ceramics. I'll pick up the hot shoes. I mean, we started to sort of pick up some clothing and bits and bobs. We pick up the kids' toys.
Yeah.
I'll only pick up like the electronics if it's sort of worth the good money.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're hard to find up here as well. It's like the electronics up there is like at the car booths, everyone's on them. I mean, the games consoles and stuff like that, and the games, it's like everybody is just like jumping in the boots for them.
Same everywhere.
Same everywhere now.
You know, I mean, I see people doing that. They're all like diving in. It's like, how much you want for this? Like 100 quid for that, 200 quid. And then, you know, there's a set of like inline skates sat on the floor. It's like, I want £1 for them, and they're worth 100 quid. It's like you're looking for all these like games and stuff and trying to find stuff that's not.
Well, I've said that a few times.
Sat there for £1.
Yeah. People will love picking up like a SNES or whatever, but in terms of the money you get back from it, because people know the value, you know, the people at the boot fairs know the value, so you're not actually making great money on some of this stuff. So some stuff does go under the radar, definitely.
Yeah, things like those skates is a good example. They're the sort of things I love to pick up because they really just think, they're my old skates that I haven't used for years. Whereas if they've got a Super Nintendo, somebody told me this is worth a fortune. You know, it's got all the original games.
Plus, with inline skates, it's a great example of an item actually, because there's very little can go wrong with them. They're not going to get knackered in the post.
They
are a great item.
I listed, I think it was 4 pairs just today, actually, inline skates.
4 pairs, jeez, wow,
unbelievable. Well, we have already done an hour. It's just absolutely flown by. If anyone,
part timers, I've done
apart from part timer,
well, you've got to do another half an hour on your own now.
Yeah, you stay.
Really?
Either that, or we'll dock your wages, something like that. But if you have any further questions, do stick them in the comments and let us know. As usual, there are links to everyone's channels in the description, so do check out Lee. I mean, I would say if you're a reseller, definitely have Fixit4Reselling on there, you know, because if you do get something and you're not too sure about it, you know, he may well have a fix for it. I was looking at one of his videos today because I was trying to fix a VCR player, and just for the other content as well. And what's your other channel, your house doing up one? Because I'm sure some people will be interested in that.
Yeah, that was a while ago. That's LCW DIY. I mean,
LCW
that's got nearly 6,000 subs, but I haven't uploaded them there for about a year. The kind of like house renovation kind of like slowed down as soon as we sort of gave up work. I thought we were going to do eBay full time.
Yeah, but stuff like that is interesting. I mean, like you're moving, Nick, and you're hoping to do lots of things in your house. That will be a great resource to go and look at some of that. And,
I mean, a lot of people change. A lot of people, well, especially up here in the north, they still have a lot of lead water mains and lead pipes in the house. So, I mean, I've had people say on my video that, you know, you can cost sort of 800 quid to £1,000 to get run new pipe to your house. But I just dug a trench, paid 20 quid for the MDPE pipe and like a stop tap, and the water board someone connects up for free. So I've laid the pipe in the trench with some sand, did a video with it, and you know that's had like thousands of views doing that. And,
saving people time and money. That's what it's all about. Isn't it?
It took me sort of a few days to do it, dig the trench and everything, but it saved me probably 800 quid.
Yeah,
which is a lot of money.
Well, definitely these days, it's definitely worth doing. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so well, like I say, any further questions, do put them in, and we'll always come back and look at them. Next week we are back on Nick's channel.
I'll have to remember that we're doing a show then, won't I?
Yeah, don't turn up half hour late for that one. Thanks ever so much, Lee, for coming on. That's been great to hear about all that stuff, and hopefully giving some inspiration to a few watching, 100 people watching, so that's a lot of people watching. And Derek and Nick, as always, thanks for coming on, and we shall see you next week. See you later.
See you later.